Timothy, how are you?
I'm well, thank you. How are
Sure.
you?
I'm great, thank you. Yeah, very good to hear. So before we get into day to day, I'd like to jump back kind of to the beginning of your musical career because when I was reading the bio, it said, I still think of myself as a developing songwriter. So I was wondering, when did the first urges or the first attempts at songwriting start for you?
Well, I've been in bands since I was about 13, and for a long time, and then after that was like folk music, and then we didn't write any of our own songs, and then we developed into a more of a rock band. Got a drummer. This is my local band in Sacramento, and there was one I had contributed to a few songs, but there was one main songwriter, still one of my best friends, who still lives in Sacramento. Um, and I just didn't know how to do it. I didn't even know where to begin. So but I always wanted to. And then by the time I joined Poco, uh, by auditioning for them, they wanted to know if I could, they needed a bass player who could sing, who was a songwriter. And I said, that's me. So I wrote a song. And it actually became a recorded song on the first album I was on, second album I was on. And I've been writing here and there a little bit ever since then. But I never really, and then my own solo albums were mostly collaborations with other songwriters, with the exception of one or two on each album.
Okay.
But I always really sort of, not that they were the best songs necessarily, but I always sort of enjoyed the ones I wrote by myself the best, I guess, because it was just, it came totally from me. There was no compromising on either part. It was just me. So about 3 albums ago, exactly 3 albums ago, including this one, I started writing all my own material and producing my own stuff, and along with some help. And as I've been doing that, I realize more and more what it's all about, what the process is, and what you have to go through, and that for me, the tremendous amount of time you have to put into it, which includes coming up with the one line you've been trying to get forever, or a possibility, like waking up out of a sleep, kind of stuff. So it's kind of ongoing when you're in that mode. But yeah, so I do consider myself a developing songwriter. I didn't really, I didn't have my own personal heyday as a songwriter when I was younger, like most people. I'm doing it as I age, which is really nice. It's very, it's like a lot of people, most people my age who aren't in the arts are retiring, and I don't really have that. I don't have that concept in my head. I'll just try to keep doing this while I'm still standing, I guess.
Well, that's interesting that you say that. Let's jump. I might jump back and forth to the new album then, because
Whatever.
the next Rainbow, the second song on the album, this kind of alludes to what you were just saying, kind of the fact that you're looking forward, the fact that you still have that hunger, that fire within you to continue. Where does that come from, do you think?
I think because I am starting to know what I'm doing, how to do it, or at least starting to get the hang of it. It's exciting to me. It's especially nice because of what I just said, that I am older and I still have like a spark to do it, and I really do, and I want to keep doing it. That song, by the way, was written during COVID time, and I swore I wasn't going to do a song about COVID, but it's generally about about that time, but I didn't I didn't say, you know, oh gee, I'm sequestered and things are bad. I decided, well, I'm going to my studio every day. I can't go anywhere else, but I'm going to my studio every day and making use of my time, and I just wrote about it.
Okay. And you mentioned since the last three albums, you kind of focus more on doing everything yourself, or at least as most as you can by yourself. How has that shifted the way you write songs, and or the way songs turn out?
Well, I didn't mean to imply that I was playing all the instruments and everything. Okay. I do get people to help me. I need people to help me. I'm not a keyboard player, for instance. You know? Although I did a little on this, real simple parts. How has it shifted? It hasn't really. Okay. Other than I'm depending only on myself, and I don't have to go to somebody and say, I'm missing this line here. What do you think? Or what do you think about what I've already written? And I don't have to tell other people that I like or don't like what they've written. Or let's rewrite this. It's like I'm the only one. If I let something sit for a while after I've written it and go back to it, I might rewrite a bunch of stuff. I rewrite all the time, at least parts of songs. And the main thing is that it's all in me, and it's nice. It's a great challenge.
As a songwriter, then, because you've been a part of some really big songs and some very influential music throughout your career. So what are you looking for, in a sense, when you start to write, or is it not that conscious?
I'm just trying to write something that, you know, that flows out of me, or has a hard time, whatever, coming out. I'm just trying to write something that's meaningful to me, because that's the best stuff to me. Or I might have some sort of meaningful subject matter, but I have to expound upon it. So I might, you know, go outside that line, but it still has that as a basis. I just try to do something that I like and hope that other people do as well. And if they don't, at least I liked it. It's the process I like. Okay. I like doing the process. Like, I have no expectations about, you know, about selling a gazillion albums. You know, I suppose it's possible that something could catch on, but it's not something I expect to happen. So I just keep on writing and put a collection of songs together and put it out and do it again.
Coming up in the music scene in California, as you did, being surrounded by so many great artists, songwriters, and throughout your career, you've played with so many interesting musicians. Did that in any way seep into how you write songs now, or is it, as you mentioned, you kind of really have your own thing going?
No, I think anybody's own thing is a combination of everything that they've heard, including sure. me. I mean, I'm influenced. Yes, I was certainly influenced by those people, but I was influenced by the first time I heard Elvis, or the first time I heard the Everly Brothers, the first time I heard, you know, James Brown, or some, you know, R&B, or Buck Owens. I mean, everything. You know, I'm influenced to this day by what I listen to, which is a lot of different stuff.
Is that how an album? Your music has always been quite eclectic, but day to day feels very eclectic as well. Is that how why that is?
I think it's because I didn't have any one big concept to go back to. Uh, it's just whatever comes out of me. I go ahead, and if I like it, I'll pursue it. And when I have enough songs to see if they'll work together, whatever style they are, I'll see if I can assemble it so it makes some kind of sense. And you know, that's my work, I guess. You know.
Sure. Was the song "Keep on Trying" for Poco, was that a big step for you, a big milestone in terms of kind of your own getting your own thoughts onto paper, or kind of getting your own song out there?
I guess in a way, because that was a song that came pretty easy to me.
Okay.
And I didn't know right away, because we tried, when we rehearsed that, we tried it with a band. It just didn't work. It kind of took away from it, and decided to just do it more or less a cappella with just one guitar. And then I went like, yeah, that's it. That's the way this thing sounds best. And I was really happy with that song, I remember. And yeah, I guess that in some ways it was a milestone. It was a song that I wrote completely myself, and then heard it develop into a recording that I thought was pretty good.
And the fact that people latch onto it, and that a lot of people who hear it can find something in it. What is that as from your perspective? Because I know from a listener's perspective, from a creator's perspective, what is that like when you say, as you mentioned, you kind of see this song grow into what it becomes, and then people find something in it?
Well, it's amazing what people find in songs that maybe you didn't intend, or maybe it reminds them of something, or maybe it hopefully gives them some food for thought, or maybe it reminds them of an experience that they've had too. I mean, we're all human. We experience many similar situations, not exactly, but similar situations. And I guess, I mean, I don't think about this, but in hindsight, I guess if I can evoke some either feeling or thought, or some sort of a tap into an emotion, I think that's a good thing.
One last thing about kind of the earlier period of your career then, because when you joined the Eagles, and I watched the documentary again yesterday, the history of the Eagles, and then you came into a very volatile situation, and everybody was kind of I suppose not liking the process of making music at that time, when for you that was kind of a dream come true, and you wrote the song "I Can't Tell You Why," and kind of have that impact immediately almost. Did you feel kind of like that paradox? Was that apparent to you?
My feeling was from the experience I had with bands previous to that. And I think I said something like this in the documentary. There's always conflict. There's always power struggles. There's always, it's that compromising thing, whether you can agree to the compromise or not. There's always conflicts, and I could see and sense that there was some of that going on, but I thought it was just a normal thing, and I didn't think much of it. But I didn't know the severity of it. I hadn't been with them in the years previous, day to day with them, and I really didn't realize how strong and serious it was getting, and then I found out very abruptly.
But were you expecting to contribute when you joined the band in terms of songwriting? Were you expecting that one of your ideas would become one of the songs on the album?
Right from the get-go, both Don and Glenn wanted me to sing a lead on something.
Okay.
So I would go up to either of their houses, depending on where we decided to meet, and they wanted to see what I had, what songs I had written that hadn't been recorded, or parts of songs. I can't tell you why it was part of a song that I presented to them, and they said that's the one we should all finish this, and we eventually did.
And then when the band broke up, and in the documentary you say obviously it was devastating. But when did that turn around into, well, now I can do my own thing. Now I can focus on my own songs and my solo work?
Well, when the band broke up, when I had actually signed, because we were with, record label, when I had actually signed up to be part of that, the part of the deal was that the record company would owe me a solo album.
Okay.
So I whether they liked it or not, I'm not sure that they did, but so I thought, well, I gotta move forward. I don't like this, but it's what's happening. I have to move forward. So I sort of clumsily went along and tried to write mostly with other people that first solo album, which is almost unlistenable to me.
Okay, how come?
Well, it's so. Well, I haven't listened in a long time, actually. There's a couple of, I think, really decent things on there, but mostly it sounds like what I was, which was inexperienced, with how to go about it. It's not a bad record. It's just it's not. I don't think it's great. But I went ahead and did it, and I wasn't ready to tour. I think I made excuses about it. I hadn't had any huge hits on my own, or even small hits on my own. And I didn't really, I guess it kind of scared me. I'm not afraid of stage. I like being on stage, but I didn't want to go do a solo thing until I thought I was ready to actually give them the audience something worth coming to see and hear.
Was there pressure on you? Sorry to interrupt. Was there pressure on you at all to perform?
Only self-pressure. People did ask about that, and I would always, I don't know what my excuse was, but I wasn't ready. It's a good thing I didn't go do that. I honestly waited a long time. I didn't really go do my first shows until 3 albums ago, and I was in my 60s.
Okay.
And I did my first show with the band, and it was really eye-opening and scary, but good. It came off good, and I was really happy, and I've been doing it on and off since. But it's hard to find time in the last few years because of my activity with the Eagles.
There's a lot of interesting songs, and as I mentioned, it's very eclectic. What started it off, this album?
You mean, what did I write first, or how did I come about?
Well, either. Maybe just the whole idea for the album kind of started with a line or a song.
Yeah, well, there's no big idea, like I said, or concept for the album. I just try and write all the time. I'm trying to think. I should actually get that song list in front of me. I could be more.
I have it here, but I don't think you'll be able to read it.
No, I can't. But I think one of the first songs was "Question of the Heart." Okay. Was a real early one. Maybe "Heartbeat." And then, I'm a slow songwriter, and so it takes me a long time, and it's hard to remember exactly the order. I could tell you some of the newer ones, but
sure. Well, you mentioned Heartbeat, and along with I think Where We Belong, the way I read it, this is are they kind of odes to your wife in a way?
I guess I write a lot of stuff to her,
Okay.
or about her, or get inspiration. She's really unique, and yeah, I guess so. Yeah, heartbeat definitely. I mean, I actually recorded her heartbeat.
Okay.
So there's a heartbeat right at the front of the song, and it's hers, and it comes a little bit at the very end too.
And
So yeah.
this notion of a muse, then, does that hold any veracity for you? The idea of somebody inspiring you in terms of songwriting and music?
Well, I guess it does. I guess it does because I've written a lot of songs to or about her. I mean, that's not all I write about, but I've certainly done that. And those two songs are definitely that.
Musically, then, there's some reggae in there, R&B, obviously, country, more folky songs. The music part of writing songs, how does that come about when you write? Is that just whatever happens on that day?
Kind of, but the music part, I usually try and come up with some sort of chord structure and some sort of scatting melody, and a lot of times a song will come about just for that. It's really helpful to have a title from the beginning, but I often don't have a title. It sort of reveals itself later, you know. So I don't really know. There's no method to my work. I just whatever works is fine, you know.
Fair enough. Fair enough. The title Mr. X, then, when did that pop in your mind?
Well, I have a friend who he's actually a psychiatrist,
Okay.
and he has this concept that he calls Part X, and it's the part that inside tells you you're not good enough. It tells you you can't do this. It tells you to put things off. It tells you, it's like the little devil on your shoulder that says you can't do that. You're no good. You know, that's kind of what it is. But I didn't like the sound of Part X. It's good in a psychological talking situation, so I called it Mr. X, and that's really what it's about.
This notion of self-doubt, and obviously I suppose every human being faces that at some point or another, but having the sort of accomplishments throughout your career as you have, what are the things that get you back into track when you start to think negatively or start to doubt yourself?
Oh, I don't know. I'm pretty up and down mood-wise. Okay. I obviously like it when I'm on the upside, but it was fun to write about. How do I get out of it? That's a really good question. I wish I would never get into it, but sometimes I find myself, I have no reason to be down about anything. My life is and has been incredible. Not that I haven't had some hard times. I have, but sure. If you can spark up your life force somehow, however you can do it, it will lead you out of that stuff, and you can get to work.
And the reason why I ask is I imagine music is part of this. Like you mentioned the life force. So music and what we started the interview with, the desire to still create, and not just rest on your laurels, but just to keep going and to see what else you can do despite your age or whatever. Yeah,
I think I would be a mess if I didn't do my work, if I didn't if I didn't songwrite, for instance, or think of some kind of poetry or melodies or stuff, which isn't difficult because I hear music all the time. But I it's kind of essential for me
Okay.
to keep doing this.
So with that in mind, then, and this is the last question, have you already written new songs then?
I actually, for the first time in my songwriting career, have a couple of songs from that I couldn't fit on the last album. So it's so the next album has already started, and I have a few other ideas in my head, and I'll just roll up my sleeves and try to make it happen.
So this is always a difficult question to answer in a way, but what is the aim then, so to say, with this this continuous writing? Is there a kind of perfect song on the horizon that you're looking to approximate, or isn't it like that?
No, it's not like that. It's the process. I'm happiest when I've got a song going, I think. It's one of the things that makes me go, now what's next, or I might get up in the night and instead of my mind going all different kinds of ways, I'll focus it on this song I'm writing. Things like that. I like it. It's something that makes me feel alive, I guess.
Well, with those words then, Timothy, thank you so much for taking the time to talk with me.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.